No words, as the Cleveland Browns have found their new head coach, and it is one Todd Monken. I'm not sure if Noah can say the name right yet. I hope he can. We joked before
Monken.
that.
Monken, baby. Monken. I got
There
it.
we
He's
go.
our head coach
Getting
now.
close. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, leave a comment. I think all of Cleveland, if you're a Browns fan right now, is a bit dejected at the news.
Yeah, and I kind of have a different tone when it comes to this whole situation. So, Eric, I want you to take the floor because I feel like you're way more negative than I am about this situation. I know you told me earlier that you were feeling a little more positive as you were mulling on it throughout the day. But I want you to go first here in terms of how you are feeling about the new Browns head coach, one Todd Monken, who is in fact 59 years old.
Well, I think you hit the nail on the head off the rip right there with his age. First of all, I want to point out that my frustration lies less with Munkin himself as a play caller. He's had some good years in Baltimore, frankly. He's put together some good offenses, he's had some good schemes. Obviously, he has also had talent to work with that helps. My frustration lies with the Haslams and this coaching search and the kind of news coming out about it. Um, to the point where number one, it sounded like they turned down, or a lot of coaches turned them down because the Browns were unwilling to listen to them wanting to bring in their own defensive coordinators. Well, now Jim Schwartz is saying he's out. We'll touch on that in a second. Um, the fact that it sounds like Andrew Berry was a Shieldhouse guy, but this came down to Haslam picking his guy. And then finally, I just want to know again, I think Munkin's been decent as a coordinator, but he's 59 years old. Why is this his first chance at a head coaching gig? And why did nobody else want him? That's all the negatives. I'll say the positives real quick. Again, I mentioned it. He's had some really good play calling years. But one positive, if we were so big and set on John Harbaugh, which we both were, John Harbaugh has not hired an OC because he fully wanted and expected it to be Munkin. So I think that says if we liked Harbaugh as a coach and Harbaugh wanted and was waiting for Munkin to be his OC in New York, I think that says good things in general. But I just have a lot of questions, and the process itself, man, oh man.
Yeah, there's two ways to look at this, right? There's way one, and it's looking at it without the process involved and some of the drama and the politics that are going on. The Cleveland Browns went out on this head coaching search to find a guy to help fix their offense, steady the ship, move in a new direction. That's why you fired Kevin Stefanski. The concerns were there in terms of his play calling, his offensive structure, and then, to the fan side, I think a lot of us were questioning his ability to be a leader of men, right? I
Hmm.
think Munkin checks all of those boxes. He's a little older. He's not the younger names that we were talking about beforehand. A lot of people were looking past him because of that, us included. We had a video come out yesterday when the news broke, and we didn't even bring up Todd's name until like I think the 25-minute mark of that video. And we were just talking about Shieldhouse and Schwartz the whole time. So that's one way to look at it. I like this hire because I think it does check all the boxes of the things that we went out to search for. We wanted a guy to help our offense, fix our offense, steady the ship, be a leader, do all of that. He checks all of those boxes by all account of reports. The only knock is his age. Then you bring in the Jimmy Haslam and Andrew Berry side of this and some of the rumblings that are going on because of this. Was this Jimmy overstepping and saying, I don't want to bring in a young guy like Shieldhouse? Was Barry high on Shieldhouse? And there's rumors and inklings out there about this. But I think the main thing is the talk and the speak that was out there about the reason there was so much indifference between coaches, people being upset with our process and whatnot, is because we really wanted to keep Jim Schwartz. Well, then you think this is the move to do that, and then you have a tweet like this come out just mere hours. I think it was even like an hour and a half after the news broke about Jim Schwartz walking around Berea saying goodbye to his fellow staffers, basically flipping the bird to Jimmy on his way out too. There was some rumblings of that. He's cleared out his office is a rumor now. I mean, it got real ugly in Berea real quick. And I think that's where a lot of people are more upset. To me, though, I don't get why people aren't as high on Munkit. He was a name that was high for me. early in this process. I shied away from it because he got compared to Kevin Stefanski a lot. That scared me. That's my bad. I should do better and do my own research. But from everything that I've seen statistically and on paper where this guy's been, I mean, he's a two-time back-to-back national champion with the Georgia Bulldogs. I mean, there is proof in the pudding that this guy knows what he's doing when it comes to the offensive side of the ball.
Yeah, and that was one of the things cited that he learned under Kirby Smart, he learned under Harbaugh. But again, he's 59 years old. It's not the age itself, it's why has he not had the opportunity until now? If it's just because he's an asshole, then I think we can deal with that. If it's X's and O's or something different, or leadership qualities, that's a little harder to get over. By the way, speaking of Kevin Stefanski, I gotta say, it feels like when you break up with your girlfriend because there's better things on the horizon and it's gotten stale, and then she goes on to just be living the best life and is now dating a guy that's like an actor and they're on a boat all the time. It doesn't feel good seeing some of the videos from Atlanta right now. That said, I don't think we made a mistake. But again, the process to say that, okay, what if our number one guy was actually McDaniel and he didn't want to come here because of Jim Schwartz and keeping him on as defensive coordinator. And now we've mangled that situation where Schwartz wants nothing to do with this. He is still under contract, by the way, so we'll see how that plays out. But he wants nothing to do with us. The fact that if it's Haslam pulling these strings, thought that Schwartz would just shut up and fall in line says how, once again, how off the mark he is in the strategy.
But then you also look at what's going on and what came out with the situation. It seems like there wasn't going to be as much of a surprise from the Browns if Schwartz was upset because he was talking about how he would be gone behind the scenes, supposedly at least, if he didn't get the head coaching job. So I
That
don't think
makes
that
less
this is
sense then.
why does it? They
What do you
followed their process. It led them to Munkin, and now here we are with the guy we
no, no,
want. And I'm sorry you're upset, Schwartz.
no, hold on. You okay, again, you're like conflating two different things. So they're telling candidates that they can't bring in their own DC because they want to retain Schwartz, as far as reports are going,
Well, the
and
reports
yet
were
you're
they were
saying that they
suggesting
knew.
him, Eric, and then we took it as that they're forcing him because that's what Jimmy Haslam does, is has his way. The reports were always that they were suggesting him. It was never officially they were cramming Jim Schwartz down other people's throats.
But you're saying behind the scenes the whole time they knew that if they didn't name Schwartz, he would be gone.
Yeah, they were hoping that it would blow over, but obviously it didn't blow over.
This I almost said administration. This team is full of morons. Like there's no other way to put it. The fact that we have a guy at GM that is Harvard educated and it's supposed to be Mr. Smarty Pants, and I don't even blame him. I blame ownership. But the fact that they have zero strategy decisions that are making sense at this point.
They followed their process. It led them to Munkin. They knew that Jim Schwartz might be upset. They would still wanted to keep Jim Schwartz. They didn't pan out that way. Mudkin is a long tenured coach who has a deep bag of pool of candidates he could bring in to be a DC. It'll be perfectly fine.
You've done the biggest about face that I've ever seen. First of all, to say that Munkin was one of your top candidates, pull the tape. I don't remember him ever being a top candidate when we
I
went through
talked
our
about
top
it with Benchwarmer Sports when he was
top
on
5.
here for a
Oh,
second.
the
Yeah,
one show I wasn't on, but when we had all
I
the nice
did.
little graphics with our coaches lined up, he was nowhere to be found for you. That's
I
weird,
put him
but
up
okay.
there. Yeah.
We'll move past
Anyway,
that for a second. But the fact that, just a day ago you were saying, "Man, I really hope it's Shieldhaas," and Munkin didn't even play a part, and now all of a sudden you're like, "Team Munkin?" This feels like Kevin Stefanski all over again. Not as
no,
a coach,
that's
but how you feel about the coach.
But that's not what's happening here, Eric. I'm looking at the information that I've gotten now that we've hired this guy. Let me remind you too, I had my reservations and I would have shared those reservations if Shieldhaas came on and was hired on as the coach for this episode. He wasn't. We both had the graphics already willing and able to go. It was saved in my camera roll. I was ready to post. Whatever. I'm not upset
Wasted
you're
my time
upset.
on that one.
Yes, you did, and I wasted my time on some stuff as well for it. It happens in this industry, unfortunately. But I had my reservations about him. He was young. He's never called plays in the NFL. He's never been a coordinator in the NFL. There's reservations for him too. My
Certainly.
reservations with Mudkin have to do with the fit, the process, all of the things that we're talking about. My reservations with Mudkin aren't though his ability to make an offense work. He gave Lamar Jackson an MVP to make an offense work. I'm saying it again on purpose because he made Stetson Bennett of all quarterbacks look like a relative able NFL arm where to the point where he went in the fourth round. He was the
Ah,
quarterbacks coach for Brandon Whedon, who went in the first round. If you're talking about how long and how deep his bag goes, there is a lot of proof in the pudding that Munkin knows what he's talking about when it comes to the offense. There's a lot of proof in the pudding that he has been backed and done good things in this league and in the college ranks. So yeah, I do feel a lot better than a lot of other fans. Am I gonna lie to you and say I wasn't like, what the hell? It's really him as soon as the news broke? Of course I was. It was a head scratcher. But the
well, for
more I'm looking at it and the more I'm trying to take my emotion out of it, the more I think that this could be a good thing. And it could also blow up in their face. We are the Cleveland Browns after all.
punts. First of all, I want to set aside college because I get it. We're talking about coaching, but who's the greatest college coach of all time?
Nick Saban.
And didn't do shit in the NFL. So let's set aside college for a minute, especially when we're talking about when he was under a guy like Kirby Smart, et cetera. Like, I think Kirby Smart's winning the national championship, whether Todd Monken is there or not. And that's not to pull anything away from Monken. I just think it's two separate games. When we talk about Baltimore, though, he had guys like Lamar Jackson. Like, that didn't hurt. So we don't have that on our roster. And we've talked about,
But
go
I
ahead.
gave you examples, Eric, of quarterbacks that weren't worth a damn that he's gotten a lot out of. He has the ability to do that. You can look through his whole coaching history. There's extensive coaching history of him. Hell, even when he was the offensive coordinator here, Baker Mayfield threw for 3,800 yards. We won't look at the interception stats that year, but there's proof in the pudding that he knows what he's talking about. He had a high-powered offense when he was with Tampa Bay. There's a lot of good things. He was slinging the ball with Ryan Fitzmagic down there when he was at Tampa. There are things to like about this hiring.
Again, the issues that I bring up have nothing to do with what you're talking about. I think in terms of trying to fix an offense, I'm kind of on side with you on this hiring. In terms of being a leader of men and pulling this team through some really hard times, it's unproven right now, but I just have to question why no other team has given him a shot in the last 30 years.
Let me paint you a picture. Let me tell you a story. Andrew
Okay.
Berry was a scout for the Indianapolis Colts for quite some time before he started rising the ranks in the NFL. He also was there when a guy by the name of Bruce Arians, a 59-year-old coach who always was overlooked, always
And
didn't have it,
overrated.
put well,
Go
okay,
on, though.
that's fair. That's fair. But he never got his head coaching shot until he was named the interim head coach for the Indianapolis Colts and I believe it was 2012. Yes, I'm correct. After that, that's when he proceeded to move on and get head coaching jobs with the Arizona Cardinals and with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Now, Bruce Arians, you can have your own opinions about him, but he was an overlooked old coach, just like Todd Monken was. Worked out for him pretty well for his career for quite some time there.
Yet Tom Brady, worked out really well for him if you're referring to a Super Bowl.
Right. Well, okay, we can add a
If we
good
get
arm
Tom
if you want to
Brady,
make if you
if
if you
he can
want to
sell
make
his
a
steak and get out of broadcasting and come to the Browns, then I'll believe in Todd Monken. I get what you're saying. Listen, maybe we struck gold, but as you look, first of all, when you see the reactions of everybody today in media, in fandom, sure, shit doesn't make me feel good, but I'm my own person. I'll come to my own opinions.
the national
Well,
media though love the hire. Any national media video aside from Rich Eisen I watched
Stephen
today
A.
had Stephen A. doesn't matter. Stephen A. Is,
But
I will never
listen,
take his opinion into
set
account.
that
He was
aside.
naming Dion for a second for us. Come on, man.
Well, he said that Dion doesn't have the chops, to be fair. Let's not misquote him. But setting that aside for just a second, um, were you not disappointed when you heard the news?
I mean, I was. Yeah, I was scratching my head again. I took the day instead of hopping on here and doing an instant reaction because you were at work. I was dealing with work, and I've thought about it. I've looked at what I think, and I think there's a lot of positives here. Now, the off the field, the drama is what could ruin this before it even gets off the ground. And I do want to bring up a situation real quick too, because I think it's important to add context that Todd Monken was spending time on the field before games telling opposite opposing coaches how bad things were with the Browns, calling the team a total mess. That was when he was the OC for Freddie Kitchens. I'm not going to sugarcoat that one. That's a mess, no matter if it was a mess. He was right, but
Yeah,
you just don't do that.
don't sugarcoat it because Freddie Kitchens would probably eat it. I think that's more of an issue with Kitchens at the time. There were reports coming out that Monken would put together an offensive scheme and game plan, and then Kitchens would just take over and disregard it and call his own plays, et cetera, et cetera. Like that was a mess of a situation in general, and there's a reason he lasted for one season. But yeah, that's not very good character things that you want to hear, but I don't think it's too dissimilar when you have those conversations about your work life. Like that happens. The difference is they're under a microscope. Like I'm not going to put too much on him for something like that. I did want to ask you though, what defensive players, in particular Miles Garrett, Denzel Ward, who are really advocating for Jim Schwartz, how they'll feel, what that looks like moving forward. I do think that local Cleveland media is blowing it out of proportion a little bit. I don't think that all of a sudden we have an issue on our hands with one Miles Garrett just because Jim Schwartz might be gone. He's had other defensive coordinators in the past. He'll have different ones in the future. But what's your take there?
Well, let me raise you one better because I just got a notification on my watch at the time of recording this that Miles Garrett has posted his story. And the picture he posted on his story is a man sitting on a bench looking defeated. No caption, nothing else, but you can take the context clues
Was
as
it
it
the
is.
Escobar meme?
It might be. I'm looking at my watch. I can't really see it super well.
Is
It
it
was
that
a
the
Daniel.
AI man on bench depressed or whatever?
I think so. Yeah. Regardless, I think that's where this could get ugly. I think even the up
Really?
people
So
being
you are
yeah,
buying into that?
yeah, I am because I think a lot of people, and there was rumors about people on both sides of the ball, not just defense, but offensive. Well, that was bought into the idea of Schwartz coming here and being the head coach, or getting moved up and being the head coach, I guess is a better way to put it. That yeah, that could be a detriment that you're rattling the locker room and you're shaking things up when you don't have to. When a lot of people were high on Schwartz, but at the same time, there's a quote, there's a saying that goes about it may not be what you want, but it's what you need. You know what I mean? You know, you've heard that, and I butchered it a little bit, so excuse me. But I really think this could end up being the what we need, not what we want type of scenario for the Browns. And again, it could get all ugly and rear its nasty head before it can even get off the ground. But if we give this a chance and we accept it, I think it could be something that really helps us move forward in a positive, new, fresh direction. I was always a proponent of cleaning the whole coaching staff out. If you fire one, you got to fire them all. No keeping Bubba, no keeping Jim. This might be the ugliest way to go about it, but it looks like that's the route we're headed.
Yeah, props to you for misquoting, but quoting a Rolling Stones song, because that is a good song. Uh, yeah, listen, maybe it is what we need. Maybe he'll turn this offense around um, at a time when maybe the defense dips, and that's our problem on the other side of the ball because we can't have happiness and balance in Cleveland. That's not a thing.
Of course.
Listen, I have always been of the opinion, unless we're hiring Freddie Kitchens again, that we give whoever it is a chance, and we see what happens. I don't feel good waking up today, or I guess it was after I woke up, but getting that announcement, and I think we both had the same reaction. It wasn't, wow, I cannot wait to see this next year. That
I've had to
wasn't how
sell my
either of us felt.
No, and I've had to sell myself on it a little bit, so don't get me wrong. Maybe I'm in Browns Delulu land right now, but I don't think so. I think if I look back at what I personally wanted out of a head coaching candidate for this roster, it was someone with tenure, experience, proven success, a little bit older, could be a leader of men. All of the things that Todd Monken is, and we
You're adding a few things that I never heard when we were
like what?
talking about this, like older, but go on.
Okay, maybe I did say older. Maybe I'm selling myself a little bit too much. I did say I wanted a tenured coach though, so I think older just gets in there because 35-year-old
Fine.
you don't have tenure. You know what I mean? But that's fair. So all of those boxes for me were checked. I think I backed up because of some of the louder groupthink criticism of him that was out there as soon as he became a candidate. And the more I've sat here and thought about it, this isn't that bad of an idea, in my opinion. I have a question for you, though, so we don't keep going in circles of I like it, they're dumb. I like it, they're dumb.
Brian
Ni-
Flores.
Brian Flores, what
Oh,
about
I
him?
thought you were gonna ask who I want as defensive coordinator that now that Schwartz is all but gone.
No, that's not it. I was gonna ask you if you thought that Nate Shieldhouse backed out because that was a theory people had online. This tweet came out from Jeremy Fowler. The Browns notified Rams assistant Nate Shieldhouse this AM. They were going in a different direction. Do you think he backed out too, but we saved a little bit of face, or do you think that we actually chose Munkin and here we are? Let's go.
No, I do not think he backed out for a couple reasons. One, I think that he was Andrew Berry's guy. Like I buy into that reporting and I think he had really good conversations. The things that I heard, like those conversations, he is a coach of the future. He will be a head coach eventually in this league. That said, the main reason I don't think that he backed out is if he did, you don't, as an organization, then say, "Hey, we contacted him and told him we are going in a different direction," because that's going to come out and you're gonna look like way stupider. That's like press 101. You just
Right.
don't do that, so I don't buy it.
No, I don't buy it either. I think we genuinely were down to Schwartz, Munkin, and Shieldhouse, and we picked Todd. Todd was our choice, and for lack of everybody's excitement on Twitter this morning or yesterday morning, I should say, that's who we're going with, and that's the direction we're moving in. What do you think this
The
means for
Todd
the
father.
quarterback? The Todd father. Here we go. We need to get that merched up right now and start pushing it on X. So Todd father shirts coming soon. What do you think now with this whole situation is going to happen in the quarterback room, though?
I don't know. So first of all, that's the big piece, and that's what I was gonna say is next step is Barry needs to do Barry things like good Barry, laser eyes Barry, and get an O line put together and put a receiver core put together, get a receiver core put together, and
Can
then
I
look
can I
at
stop you at
things.
O line real quick, just because we have O line news too?
Sure.
So we actually already hired our O line coach, which is George Warhop. George Warhop is a name I really like. Warhop, Coach Warhop as an O line coach. That just sounds great to me.
Also
And
used to be in Cleveland.
he did also used to be in Cleveland, but he was the O line coach for the Ravens this past season. A lot of Ravens fans aren't high on him. Metrics wise, everything looks good. He's had some shaky development issues, I guess, is some of it. So, like a Tyrese Proctor is probably not the best fit here. But I think that could help us attract a big name free agent like Tyler Lindenbaum, the former center of the Ravens, to come here and head the offensive line. So, to your credit of adding Andrew Berry, wide receiver and O line, I just thought that made sense. I'm sorry for cutting you off.
No, it's just it's gonna be up to Barry though to put a team together. I think it's funny we talked about Anthony Richardson. I think he is a quarterback that Todd Monken would love to have. He likes a mobile, athletic quarterback like that. So I wouldn't be surprised if something like that happened. That said, we still have three quarterbacks on this roster that we are paying money to. So part of me also would be surprised, but I don't think we're done looking there. But we've got to surround this team. If we're going to lean in, and we're going to say, okay, we'll figure it out on defense. We'll figure it out on special teams. By the way, with everybody being interested in Bubba Ventrone, the only thing I can surmise is that it's personnel issue. Like I don't understand. But anyway, we figure things out on the other side of the ball where it's been fairly stable. When talking defense, of course, and then we lean into our offense. If we put weapons, whether it be around Shador or around a guy like Anthony Richardson, if we put together who Munkin wants and who he'll be coaching, and I'm still not sure who our OC will be, so that'll be interesting as well. Then we better see some results, you know? Like it's Barry's time to shine, but if he builds that roster and then we still see nothing, that's when some tough conversations need to happen.
It is indeed with everything, whether it be that we need to turn the page on a coach or if Barry didn't build the roster right. But we're not there yet. We don't, like you said, we don't even know who our offensive coordinator is going to be moving forward. That's going to be some great breaking news to cover. I'm kind of hoping it's still one of those young offensive minds, maybe one that we haven't heard of yet, like Grant Udinsky and Nate Shielhaas, our own version of that that can come learn under Todd Monken and maybe grow into something great for us or hopefully not another team, but maybe for another team. Who knows? That is what I'm seeing here. And I know my optimism probably feels weird because the other day we were talking about Shieldhouse, but the more and more I've looked at this situation, the more and more I think this could really be us getting what we need, not what we want.
I hope that's the case. I'll say this too. Looking around the AFC North, apart from it just being really freaking weird because all these tenured coaches are now gone, including Stefanski, he's been here a long time. Looking around the league though, and everybody being gone, and the talent disparities, like, I don't know how the AFC North is gonna shake out. I could guess. I can't imagine that the Ravens don't win the division next year. I don't know. Technically, the most accomplished coach is Mike McCarthy, but I can't imagine that Steelers team being very good. Like, it's a weird division. What used to be the toughest division in the NFL, like, period, no ifs, ands, or buts, is kinda anything but now. So it'll be interesting if you put together a couple wins and some decent streaks here. The Browns could be in contention for play. I'm getting ahead of myself, I know, but that's how open the division is, in my opinion, and that's how open it was this year.
I think we'll react to everybody's takes for the next episode and all of that. So I don't want to spoil one that I'm going to pull already. But Zach Jackson of the Athletic views this as a win now move for the Browns. Surprisingly, like they think that they can win more games, and that's why they went with Todd Monken. So I will pull that clip and we'll talk more about it tomorrow. But I could see where that thought process comes from. Then you're hiring a guy who is 60 years old next week, which means there isn't like you're trying to build and grow with him. You think he can inject life into this team now and get us on the road and into the straight and narrow and off to a playoff run. And maybe the thought process is because the AFC North is so weak at this point. I don't know. It's still too many question marks right now for me to even understand because we don't know who we're adding yet. We don't know what the draft looks like yet. That's our job to speculate for the next couple months, and I can't wait to do it, man. But there's still so many question marks right now.
There are, and you know what? Something helping the Browns in that pursuit, it's an easy schedule. If you look at how the Patriots made it to a Super Bowl, they had a pretty easy route as far as scheduling goes. And I'm not saying like that's not to take away from the accomplishments of the Pats this year whatsoever, but it gives me faith that I don't know, maybe we can string some things together. We have a fairly easy schedule next year.
We do indeed. It'll be interesting to see how this situation continues to play out. Uh, I, I don't even know what the answer is. One of the rumors that were out there too, real quick before we wrap up, is that they were really sold on Munkin's plan offensively moving forward in terms of what they should do. And I'm so curious what that is. If that's adding another arm, if he's high on Shador, like the Ravens were high on Shador in the draft. That was Todd that wanted to go out there and grab him. Maybe he thinks Deshaun Watson is a reclamation project that he can really sink his teeth
I've
into
called that.
and maybe that's on the table now, and I'll lose our bet because he that's what he pitched. I don't know. I don't think that's the case still, but everything is on the table at this point for the Cleveland Browns. And buckle up. It's a hell of an offseason to have here. So make sure you subscribe. Leave a comment of what you think of the hiring down below. And don't forget to like too. And there's a hype button for us smaller creators. If you can find the hype button you're watching on your phone, please hit that. That helps boost us in the algorithm.
Sure. No idea what that is, but sure, I agree. Hit the hype button. Noah, two quick things before we wrap. Number one, five over under 5 wins next year. Just from what we know now, I know it's super early. What are you taking?
Over because
Me too.
I think the talent will add on to what we have. I mean, we went 5 and what 12 last year, so at least two more wins. I mean, 3 and 13, 5 and 12, 7 and 9, 7 and 10, 7 and 10. Yeah, 7 and 10.
That yeah,
So I think over, and you agree. So what's your
I
second
think I
question?
I think I do agree. For the betters out there, John, I'm looking at you. We can keep it at 5. And we'll favor you one more game. You still owe me, but maybe we bet again. Second thing, just a little quick activity, because it's been wrong several times in this episode. I want you to picture Munkin. I know how it's spelled, but picture it being spelled Munken, and say with me, two parts here.
You're such an ass, Monken.
Munkin. Yes, there we go. I told you I don't want to listen to this for the next 5 years.
I'm
And
gonna
we're
keep
not
going.
starting off
Hey,
strong.
I hope he's here for the next 5 years. That means I was right in my optimism right now, a day removed, less than a day removed, really, from him being hired. So if he's here 5 years from now, that's a really good sign for us in the orange and brown.
Maybe we should get a little graphic. Is it I know this is a Pokemon thing apparently. It's Mudkin, right? In Pokemon?
Mudkip. No, Mudkip.
Mudkip. Maybe we just every time you mispronounce it, I can hit a button and he'll pop up. He or she. I don't know what a Mudkip is, but I don't even know if they're gendered, frankly.
They
On
are
that note,
gendered.
the debate never ends, but the show does for now. We'll see you next time.